podcast show, Tag Opinion Pool. I am Amoni Promise X, and here with me
is Reverend Samuel N. Odam, PhD, as they said.
It's a pleasure to meet you once again, sir. Congratulations once again.
I appreciate that.
And over time, we are looking at the Christendom or Christians alongside associating themselves with culture and traditional practice. So, what's your take on this? Looking at the Christian believer indulging himself or herself in culture and traditional practice.
Yeah, thank you once again for giving me the opportunity for this interaction or discussion, especially for this postcast. I have over time had several discourse on this subject matter, and my take is that the Christian belongs to a kingdom. Culture is what is its culture, and tradition and culture is part of what is obtainable in a kingdom. It is one of the identities of a people. It is what characterized a people. So if you are a Christian, it means that you actually belong to a kingdom. And in your kingdom, you also have a culture. You also have a tradition. So the question now is, what kingdom does the Christian belongs to? You know, the Bible told us in Colossians chapter 1 and verse 13. The Bible says, in verse 12, the Bible says, giving thanks unto the Father who has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. So something by reason of the workings of God brought us into an inheritance. And this inheritance is in a kingdom. And the kingdom is the kingdom of light, of which Jesus is the king. You know, every Christian sings a song, you know, that Jesus is our king and is our Lord. So if he's your king and Lord and you belong to him, and of course everyone belonging to a kingdom is a subject of the king over the kingdom, and of course it is the king that originates the norms, the culture that defines the norms, the culture, the value system and the belief system of the people. So if we belong to a kingdom that has a king of which Jesus is the king, it means that our cultures, our traditions, our belief systems must be drawn from him. They must be drawn from him. So he defines or shapes what should be our culture and what should be our tradition. So when a believer who belongs to a kingdom begins to, begins to come down, begin to let himself down, begin to, underrate, undermine the height of the kingdom from which he's coming from, and begin to interplay with the lowest herb of life, begin to, reduce his value, to begin to accept, a value that originates from Satan, a belief system that originates from Satan, a culture that originates from Satan. My brother, that believer has lost a sense of his origin. He has lost an understanding of where he is from.
He has lost
it. Because you know what the Bible told us about the Christian? It says a royal priesthood. That is part of what makes your culture.
Exactly.
You get? Yes. It is part. So that fact is supposed to, it's supposed to shaping his orientation about living. Exactly. It's supposed to define how he looks at life. That this man who is said to be a Christian is a royal. He's not just a priest, but he's a royal priesthood. So his dwelling place as a priest is in the palace. So he has in him royalty. So think about the situation where somebody that has royalty condescending to a normal and undermined a life, and a life that is little, a poverty stricken, demon infested, low life lifestyle. And you get what I'm I'm saying? So it's like undermining who you are, and that tells that you don't even know who you are. It tells that you don't know who you are as a believer.
You don't know who you are.
You don't know. You know, you cannot be a royal priesthood and you start going to play around people in motor park or start living a motor park life. You cannot be, someone that is a royal, that has royalty in him, and start walking around like a beggar. You cannot carry royalty and start playing masquerade. How many have you ever heard of the King of England playing masquerade? Have you ever seen the son of the King of England going to sit down with people in motor park?
It's not possible.
Have you ever seen someone, the son or the daughter of the King of England? Now look at it. Let's take Okrika for instance.
Okay.
I speak in this manner because I am one of those who are advocating for what we think is a culture that actually originated from Satan, and by reason of deception we do not know that these things originate from Satan, and we have accepted them as a way of life. They are purely Satan's origin, or satanically originated, and unfortunately people have imbibed them as a way of life with the assumption that they are their things, values that were passed down to us from our fathers. And I used to ask a question: were you there when the values were originated and passed down? the things you call culture, were you there when they originated? Because I know that every culture begins with man. Whatever you call culture, whatever you call tradition today, started with somebody. And you need to know the environment on which the man found himself, that initiated that culture, that tradition, that value system. Let's assume that a man is suffering for lust, and a man suffering for lust is no longer satisfied with his wife, and he wants to see people's nakedness. And then he now say, as the king or the chief or maybe one kind paramount ruler, let us come up, we need to do maiden festival. They want the Okrika Paul area, and then they now ask other people's children to come and sample their breasts in this 21st century, and then people will not gather. So and then you give them up. It is satanic. Yes, it is satanic.
Against that,
I have everything against
culture.
It is not a culture.
Kingdom.
It is not a culture.
It's not a culture.
It is not a culture. It is originated by men. By men for their sensual, to satisfy their sensual desires. Sensual desires. If a man, okay, let me ask you, the woman you want to marry. No, when God created man, Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve sinned, they sinned against God. It is God they sinned against. After they sinned against God, God saw. Even they realized that they were naked, and they went and plucked leaves to cover themselves. And of course, leaf has a lifespan when it is not connected to its source of life. So he discovered that if breeze blow that leaf and sun hits that leaf over time, it will die and dry up. And God decided to cover them. Now, there are a lot of theological implications with regards to that coverage. That coverage may be covering from sin, but literally speaking, that coverage means that I don't want you to be naked. Now your eyes are open. So God himself went as far as killing an animal and then sewing a cloth and covering man. This is husband and wife. They already living together. Yet God doesn't want them to live naked. He doesn't want them to see themselves walking about naked. He decided to cover them. Now, Satan now gave Okrikans an ideology. If you follow my teachings on PMI TV, or a voice in Rama in PMI TV, I am taking a series. If you follow my teaching, it is part of what I've been teaching. As part of the things, a method by which Satan introduces and popularizes his ideas, his values. He does that through men, through culture. So now Satan now gave them that idea, that ideology, that why not ask the maidens to go naked and walk around in the name of tradition and culture. Now, sir, the woman you want to marry,
yes, sir,
in this 21st century, you say you want to marry her by putting her in fatting room after she has stayed the period of after she has stayed throughout the period of the fertile woman, you now bring her, the woman you want to marry, the breast was designed as a private part of the human body. That's why God covered it. Other part of the body, God covered it because he didn't design it for a public show. He designed it for the man, for the satisfaction of the man or the woman that will enjoy it. Now, the woman you want to marry, you now say she has entered fertile, you now bring her out. I say, oh yeah, go and sample what only you is supposed to enjoy. Go and sample it. And as she's sampling it to these men and women who call themselves kings and chiefs, and the whole society that will gather, they will not sample. They want recently as in Port Harcourt or so, and I was bitter. So without anybody knowing, the whole world have seen that the woman you want to marry have two breasts. The breast is not equal. One is bigger than the other one. And now it is not only the people that watched it there that have seen it. The whole world have seen it. What kind of sense does that make?
That's the point.
Does it not undermine the dignity of that woman? Does it? And you call it culture. So when this girl now travels to Canada, somebody in Canada have already seen her naked. So it's no longer new to the person. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, number two, you need to understand that this is another way Satan spreads immorality, lust. Those who are struggling with lust already sees this and they already lusting after the girl.
You can hear it again, sir. You can say it again. Yes, sir.
Number three, rather. This is another way Satan spreads, all manner of sexual atrocities. So you discover that the girl who was innocent and was subjected to this way of life will eventually be followed after by many boys who saw her nakedness.
Exactly.
So they become interested and they want to take advantage of what they have seen.
That's it.
Do not forget, they're already suffering for lust. The loss of what they have seen in looking at her nakedness.
Yes,
You know that it is punishment for a man to see another person's nakedness. He'll be dying in silence.
Yes,
you think you have looked at somebody's nakedness, but it's a lie. That has gone to instigate something inside of you, and you'll be dying in silence. Now, while you are struggling over loss, you are sinning against God. Are you with me now? You are sinning against God, and as you're sinning against God, you are now compelled, either by reason of that urge now that has been instigated, to go after someone else, or to still go after the person whose nakedness you have seen. So what have you done? You have created corruption in the heart of the people who watched it. You have created corruption in the system, and then you have also advanced the cause of hell by ensuring that immorality spreads. That's what this culture generates. So it is not a culture, it is human created, and it is created out of our own lust to advance the cause of hell, because Satan wants his values, he wants his ideologies to be marketed through these means. I don't know if that answers your
question. Yes, sir. What's
looking at, we are talking about the Christian believer.
Yes.
And we found out that over time, most of our Christian, well-committed sons and daughters are the people that promote business.
It's because of deception. It's not become money mongering. They feel that when they promote things like this, they become popular, maybe on social media or whatever. And of course, people who are enlisted into things like this, and they get sponsorship from government, they get sponsorship from individuals and all the rest. So they are making money. You see, it is money, it's business. It's business.
Okay, so finally.
So, do you think during the December festival, is it orchestrated for masquerade activities and all of that?
Like I told you, Satan is always opposing whatever Jesus, God, represents. Whatever God represents, Satan opposes it. And he opposes it through deception, through manipulation, and through domination. The end point is to enslave man. You get? So Christmas, which was meant to celebrate the birth,
exactly, yes,
now celebrates masquerade. And you see many young people going to run around, and that is importing demons. It is an altar. It is Satan worship.
Take it again. The masquerade is importing what?
It's importing demons.
You can hear that again.
It's importing demons. Now, do you know? Sometimes, some years ago, I'm using Okrika as an inference.
Okay.
The reason is because I am from Okrika and I see what happens there.
Oh.
It's not as if this is peculiar to Okrika.
Okay.
It's also there in
yes,
other
globally,
states,
yes.
you know. But I am saying this because of where I came from.
Okay.
Some years ago, if you observed, you know, after the crisis in Okrika, things became normalized. God was being glorified, and a lot of people went to church. And eventually, some sets of leaders emerged in Okrika, both at the traditional level, political level, and so on. They emerged, and they start promoting all the things that were dead in the past, like masquerades and all that. They start pumping in money in the name that they are reviving traditions and culture, without knowing that they are actually reviving satanic altars. And of course, when these altars are being revived, you host the spirits of these altars. Every altar is a gateway. It's a channel by which spirits are hosted into a society to have their way and influence over humanity. Unfortunately, because they're ignorant of how the spirit world operates, they feel that they are doing tradition, they are doing culture. But we know, because we have understanding, you know, of how these things works. We know Satan does not have power or have access into the world or into human system, into the world system, without the authorizations of men. And the way man authorizes Satan to come in is through these things. So each time a masquerade is played, the spirit is being worshipped. An altar is being serviced. You get? So when these spirits are worshipped, you amplify their voices. You strengthen the operations in the society. And you enhance their influence over humanity, over the people in that environment. Now, I was given an instance that when they started introducing and sponsoring these things and reawakening all of these altars, a time came, they said they want to do beach party. And they did carnival, beach carnival. Some girls went naked, they were stark naked. They just wore something that looks like pants and then covered a portion of their breast, but every other thing was nakedness. And they did that, did several other things. Do you know, after that beach party and carnival, and an atmosphere got open for the devil, the rate of prostitution in Africa increased. The rate of immorality increased. Young girls became pregnant abnormally, and several other things began to happen. And that has opened door to many things. Today, in Rivers State, Okrika is rated number 1 when it comes to HIV. Jesus. Yes. Number 3, Rivers State. You know, so that's to tell you that whenever these things are sponsored, you know, they provoke, they bring in this spirit, and spirits do not operate in vacuums. Spirit operates by in those things they inhabit. So when these girls go, spirit don't operate. They don't operate in vacuum.
You can hear that.
They don't operate in vacuum.
Don't operate in vacuum.
They are held where they are there. So they find expression either in humans or animals or whatever that is hosting them. So when a person goes to beach party, you get, the person has automatically yielded his spirit, soul, and body, or open door for this spirit to come into the person. And of course, once this spirit gains access into the person, the spirit will begin to find expression. If it is the spirit of immorality, the spirit gains access into the person, that person begins to live an immoral life. If it is the spirit of drunkenness or all forms of addiction, you begin to see the person begin to exhibit such life. That's why you see high rate of prostitution in Okrika, high rate of immorality in Okrika, and today another spirit has entered, and that's the spirit of what they call it, Yahoo. You know, it's not part of your physical. You know, it's not part of your physical. I have to show you. You know, so it's important we know that it is Satan's way to adulterate and oppose what God is doing.